Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coast, Customer Success and Practice. And today's episode is a little different. It's our season finale and also, sadly, our final episode together as co-hosts.
It is. I'm already going to cry. Like you saying that, Kat. It is. I'm stepping into a new chapter. It's so bittersweet. This podcast and this team have meant so much to me, but it felt right to end the season by talking about something we're both living through, which is change.
Yeah, there's been a lot of change in our careers, in our company, change in customer success, change in a lot of things in our lives. So today we're talking about closing the chapter, about evolving, and about uncertainty that many of us are navigating right now. So we want to take a different approach in our episode today, which will be part reflection, part real talk, and also part love letter to all of our listeners.
Yeah. And I want to be super transparent. Leaving was not an easy decision. I love this work. I love our team. And at some point, over the last year, I think I've really had to evaluate for myself the kind of impact I want to have and where I want to have it and what that would look like for myself somewhere else. And so it took, I think, a lot of self-reflection and just a deep dive to really kind of decide what my impact would look like moving forward.
What struck me most when I heard the news and we had talked about it was that this kind of decision isn't about running away, but rather running towards something else, something new. And I think in any mission-driven company or any CS work, it can be very emotional. You get not necessarily attached, but you form bonds with the people you work with and the people that you're supporting, your clients, your customers. And so this change can be really hard. And I think, in CS right now, a lot of people are being pushed to make decisions like this with changes or layoffs or just the pace of how things are going in tech.
Totally.
So lately, I found myself asking, what does the future of CS actually look like? Things are changing and not everyone has a seat at the strategy table.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a big shift towards automation. I mean, Kat and I talked about AI in our last episode. Budget conscious operations is very real right now. It does not mean that we are not valuable. It means that we're being pushed to evolve alongside the role, alongside the industry, alongside what's going on in the country. One thing I've learned through this process that I want to share and that I think has been super helpful is like, it's okay to pause. It's okay to hit pause and like just deeply reflect, to not necessarily have the next thing perfectly mapped out, but to just kind of like stop and listen. I did a lot of like listening to myself, listening to my gut, listening to my instincts. And I would encourage everyone to always kind of like take moments to just really pause in those feelings.
Yeah, totally. And trust that the uncertainty doesn't mean that you're behind. It means you're still in motion and there's opportunity there. And Tam, I guess one question that I have for you, and maybe it's on the minds of listeners, like what led you to making this decision and that change? Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I know you mentioned impact. Would love to hear how this all came about.
Yeah, I think, I'm an educator first. I have my PhD in education. I've spent so many years in a K-12 district and kind of landed in a customer success role and just felt so in love with the mission of the company and with our customers and with our team members. And that's really what sustained me in the work. And that's really what like kept me wanting to come back year after year. And I think, as we talked about, the industry is changing. The role is looking different. I'm feeling personally like with everything going on in the country and, sociopolitically and in the world, the impact that really fuels my soul is being with kids and families and educators. And so I felt really kind of called back to that.
Yeah, totally. I love that. It's a testament to how you're being true to yourself. And I think one thing that I think about is, if you're ever in a position where you're like, is this the time for me to make a move or to change? I think it's important to lean into what's in your control, thinking about your values, your habits, your tools, your community, and act on that and just kind of, go with your gut and what feels right. thanks for sharing that, Tam.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big year for me. I just turned 40 last week, the big 40.
Happy
And
birthday.
thank you. And I really, I think everyone should do this probably at the beginning of every year and every decade. But I think really asking yourself and getting honest with yourself about what does the next decade look like for me? What does the next year look like for me? What does the next 6 months look like for me? We're in charge of our own roadmaps for the most part, you know? And so like making those decisions that feel right for us and for our families. So I'm stepping away from this mic, but I'm carrying the experience of our podcast and all of our wonderful work in customer success in these conversations with you, Kat, carrying all of this into my life and into my next role.
Amazing. I've learned so much from you, not only through this podcast, but just our everyday work. So I'm gonna miss you so much. And we'll be rooting for you no matter what you do. And while the show will evolve, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And while change is inevitable, it's also growth. So thanks for all that you've done to help me grow too.
Yes. And thank you all for listening and for being part of our change journey.
Yeah. All right. See ya.